Hello everyone and welcome back to the next edition of show. We're still going after show 6, gentlemen. We've done 5, so we're not doing too badly. The general feedback I seem to be getting is that people are enjoying it. We haven't got a huge audience, but those that are listening are enjoying it and love that we are talking about photography and cameras instead of phones. So I'm joined today, as usual, by the pair of Chris's. Take your pick, Chris and Chris. There's Ian and Joe as well. So welcome to you all. Everyone okay?
All good.
Yep,
awesome.
All good.
Great.
Brilliant.
And today we're going to talk about all sorts of things as usual, but we hopefully are going to talk. Chris Kelly was very interested in the same as me in talking about the camera in your pocket, as we've dubbed it. We were talking about the possibilities of we'll talk about it when we come to it, but small cameras that go in your pocket, that's going to be a theme. If we've got time after that, we'll also be talking about the gear you carry, so the camera gear. We put a little poster out into the group in MeWe this week to which there are links in the show notes, incidentally. And we got some ideas about what people were using, what bags they were using, and how they were carrying their gear. So hopefully we'll have time to come to that as well. This is show number 6, as I say. It's the 10th of September today, and you can find all this stuff on the website, which is actually at tedsalmon.com/camera creations. And of course, in your podcatcher, you'll find all the links in there as well. Everything we can throw at that, we'll throw at that, and we'll get this out to you. There's also the Camera Creations shared album, which is a Google Photos album. We'll make sure there's a link to that also in the show notes and on the website, so you can get there. And if you want to look at the pictures we're talking about or the items we're talking about while we're recording, you can go there and look as we go. So there you go. It's that's all the stuff out of the way. We usually do a little bit of a catch up here before we start into the news section with Chris Clayton about what people have been up to. So Ian, you want to go first and say what you've been up to since we last recorded?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the shocking news is I actually took some photographs. And, and the good thing is I'm still an idiot, so I think consistency's still there. We had the blood red moon on Sunday night that was supposed to be very good on the east of the country. So I took the wife and the dog out to try and shoot that. It was supposed to be coming up across the beach, but then I followed something on Sky News to say it was going to come southwest. So ultimately, I was sitting watching a really wonderful sunset in completely the wrong direction. And by the time it turned around and everything, it got cloudy and missed it. But it was nice getting out. Saw as a byproduct a pretty epic sunset. And got a bag of chips on the way home. So I think it was a success at the end of the day.
Very nice photograph there with you or someone sat on a bench by a tree and looking out. That's the one you're talking about, I suppose.
Yeah, so I got a few. Let's say the colour was pretty much that. I took a number of. This is Orton Broad is sort of the gateway to the Broads in East Anglia. The sky was pretty much that colour as well, so it was very, very nice sunset to offset the blood moon thing. Favourite photos were the ones who were just silhouetted. There were a lot of people sitting on benches and looking at the sunset, and I quite like those in a sort of silhouette, which was pretty cool. So nice. So it was nice to actually get out with the camera. That was in. As a precursor to, I went out on Monday, took a visit to Orford Ness. This was a photography trip, a small group of photographers with a guy called Justin Mims. And we spent the day on the island. So there is a link to Orford Ness in the show notes. But Orford Ness used to be a top secret base back from originates from the First World War, but it was where they tested a lot of the atomic weapons as well during the Cold War. And a lot of radar and things like that were developed there. I think part of Concorde's flight guidance systems were designed there. So it's quite an interesting, very high secret place. So it's now National Trust. So you have to go over on a little boat, and we had the island to ourselves. Super interesting. Again, lots of urban desolation and decay. Highlight were there's a number of old laboratories which were pagodas, which were used, and again, it's all in the shingle on the beach. So
cool.
A lot of opportunities for taking shots.
Very good.
And the main thing was, sorry.
And not a racing car in sight.
No, nothing moving. So the beautiful thing was like having a lot of time to just sit there and have a look at a photograph. The main theme was to shoot everything in black and white. So it was setting the picture profile on my camera to black and white. So everything I saw through the viewfinder was black and white. So that was quite an interesting way to shoot. When I came back on the computer, obviously it shows it in RAW, so you see the color, but it was quite nice visualizing everything in black and white.
Cool.
So I put a few images there. Coming up, going to be at Silverstone at the weekend doing some shooting. Jamie Chadwick is racing, so I'm doing some stuff for an agency focused on women in sport. And then next week I'm off to Baku for the Formula One. So really back into photography big time. So this week was really there to try and see if I remember how to use the camera, to be honest. So.
Very nice. I like the one with the wood, the dead tree on the beach. That's really nice.
The way it frames the building in the background through the hole in really nice. I have to say I'm quite partial to a derelict building myself. So I do like those.
Yeah. I'd recommend the trip. So there's so much history there as well. Again, it was just quite nice to just have a whole day of just wandering around and looking for sort of images. So it was cool.
Great. Okay, Chris Clayton, what have you been up to?
Yes, as mentioned on the last pod, I picked up a new lens. At the time, I hadn't a chance to use it, but it was the 9mm 5.6 fully manual lens from Seven Artisans. This is a mega ultra wide lens, rectilinear. So I finally got a chance to get out and use it. I went down to Brighton Beach a couple of weekends back. Obviously, I've been there 1,000 times before, so I didn't really expect to get too much. But I had a really good time trying this lens out. The first time I put it on the camera and looked through the viewfinder, I did laugh to myself because 9mm is kind of ridiculous. Because you got the ultra wide in your phone. It's normally at 13mm, and 9mm is 130-degree field of view. So it's kind of overwhelming. It's like, how are you going to frame anything? But you kind of get used to it, actually.
I've forgotten. What qualifies as fisheye?
It's kind of when you get the barrel distortion in the image.
No. What I mean is what millimeter?
I think anything below 8.
Is it? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I did read that you can't go beyond 8 and keep it rectilinear.
Okay.
It has to be fisheye. But you can get sort of 9 or 10mm fisheyes as well. But this one is rectilinear if you get the horizon straight. But I kind of immediately figured out that you need like a foreground element or a leading line, because the perspective that you get, everything is pushed to the back of the frame. So you need something at the front of the frame to lead your eye through the image. But I had a lot of fun playing around, and I got one really nice photo that I'm happy with, the West Pier. Obviously, I've taken a million photos of the West Pier, but the image that I put into the group is this image that I've never been able to capture before. Get that close to all the poles of the pier and get everything in the scene. And this is a handheld kind of medium exposure. I think it was 0.6 seconds. I timed it just as the waves were going back out, so you can see the streaks, and that creates a leading line. And I was really happy with the images when I got back home, how sharp it was for a cheap lens and the perspective you got. So yeah, that was a very productive first trip out with that, but it was all in preparation for a day trip out to London that I had planned, especially to give this lens a good run out. Myself and fellow MeWe member Charles Winston went up to London for a day last Friday. Got on the train at 10 o'clock, both our backpacks full. I did take 3 lenses and my tripod and my packed lunch, so it was about 10 kilograms worth of gear in the bag. But the main priority for me was to use this 9mm and get some architectural photos. And that's exactly what we did. Went up to the city area, and the look-up shot was my aim. There was an image that I saw from an Instagrammer called M Captured. I think Ian has mentioned him before. Might have even done a trip with him. Is that right, Ian?
Yeah, we did an evening together in London, which was really cool. He's got such a good eye. It's really cool.
He has. His eye's so good. I just totally ripped off one of his photos, which is the one I put into the group there, which is the look-up shot of the skyscrapers with the lamppost.
Is that the Lloyd's building, isn't it? Or
one of them is the Lloyd's building. It's also Horizon 22 and a couple of others, but this was the shot I kind of went to that area to get, but I was really happy, even though it was kind of a rip-off of his photo. I was really happy how it came out, and it gave me a good start to the day with that lens. But we also had a trip up Horizon 22, which is the new tallest building in London. And I've been up to a lot of viewpoints before in Asia as well, and I've always found that the best photos are of the people inside the viewpoint rather than of the view itself, as was the case here. The image that I put into the group is like a silhouetted group of people, but they're kind of between the lines of the window frames. And I've always appreciated kind of separation of the elements of the scene, and I don't like overlapping subjects. And this is kind of right up my street because everything's separated. They're all in their own little fenced off areas in the scene. And it took a while for them to get there, but really happy with that image. So yeah, that wasn't obviously with the ultra wide. That was with my 24-70, but that was the best photo I got up from Horizon 22. And then after that, we came back down, and I spent the rest of the day with the 9mm, probably about 6-7 more hours, just taking loads and loads of photos, maybe 500 photos I got in the end. But my 2 favourites that really show off this lens would be the street photo I've got here. I put that in the group. It's on the Bank of England building, and there's maybe 4 girls there. Just that's the only element in the scene. I really kind of like the isolation of this small group of people amongst this big building, and this 9mm lens has captured that in a way I don't think another lens could. And you've also got the leading lines of the paving stones that go straight to the middle of the frame. So really happy with that. And of course, the classic ultra-wide lens shot is the spiral staircase. So Hill's department store's got the famous spiral staircase. We went over there, and I probably got about 50 photos of this spiral staircase, and this was the one that worked out best for me, I think. There was obviously a lot of straight down the middle ones, but I kind of like this one more. It's offset. You've got that kind of golden ratio composition, and you can see how wide it is because the balustrades of the banister there are just kind of arching around the lens as I'm crouched on the floor. So, yeah, it was a really productive day, very long, very tiring. We got home about 11 o'clock, but we had a good day out, and I'm really, really happy with this 9mm lens. And I was quite pleased about how I coped with the fully manual aspect of it. There's no autofocus, there's no contacts at all, so there's no ISO bracketing. You've got to do everything yourself. I was quite happy with that. It was a bit of a challenge, and ideally I would still rather just use my favourite aperture priority modes, but wasn't too bad. So yeah, happy day, and some good photos, I think.
Very nice. Yeah, indeed.
I really like those, Chris.
Yeah.
The look up shot. Are you standing to take that?
Yes, I'm standing. I mean, that lamppost is probably the top of that where the 2 lights are. That's probably 7 feet above my head. So, but it looks like it's kind of 50 feet above my head there.
Yeah. I'm envious that you can look up like that because I've got a broken neck and my head doesn't go that far back anymore.
There's always a laying on the floor option if it comes to it.
Yeah.
I've been known to do that. But I probably took about 100 photos with my phone as well of that one scene. So.
Yeah. Do you have to pay to get in Horizon 22?
No, you don't. You have to book quite a way ahead, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ahead, but it's free. There's a lot of security, and you have to hand in your tripod at the gate.
Okay.
But no, it's worth a look. It's quite an impressive view, but it's just another view. But I find it much more interesting to get sort of more dynamic photos of the people.
And how much was the lens?
£360.
And you had to import it?
No, it was just off Amazon.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, just on the 7 Artisan store on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, well worth a look if anyone wants something a bit different.
Very good, yeah. Very nice, very interesting. I remember when back in the day I had a fisheye lens for a while and it just kind of blew me. I don't think my brain was not really into it enough to. I mean, Chris Kelly, you've done some fisheye stuff in a kind of different way with your 360 cameras, haven't you?
Yeah.
But back in the day, I found it really difficult to use and difficult to get the most from. But you seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, you just have to look at every scene totally different. There's no way that you can sort of transfer the skills from a 50mm or a 40mm and it would work with this 9mm. You need a foreground element. You need leading lines, I think, to make it work. But when it does work, it's really, really sort of rewarding, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some, posh National Trust sort of garden things. Use the 360 camera just as a still for fisheye stuff.
Yep.
And you absolutely have to get the lens up close to something.
Yeah.
As Chris says, to give you that leading line. So getting in the flower bed, looking up the flower stems to the flower heads is, I've done that a few times.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, right, Joe, you're next. Is he still here? Joe's cleared up, look. He got fed up with us. He's gone for a cup of tea. Probably muted himself and can't work out how to get his unmute back. We'll come back to Joe if we can find him in a bit. So, Chris Kelly, you've had a quiet week, same as me. No photography.
Yeah, unfortunately, since the last recording, I've worked 12 out of the last 14 days, and I've had conference calls for the charity I work in and evening calls with clients and stuff. So the 2 days that I didn't work, I just vegged out on the sofa and I'm going nowhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, as we say up north, I did nout.
I know the feeling, and for different reasons, I've done nout either. Chris, Clayton, let's hand over to you and for the rumours section.
Oh, yeah. Yes, only one rumour this week, but could be quite a big one. This has been floated around for years, but there seems to be a bit more substance to it now, is that DJI might be launching a full-frame mirrorless camera on September the 15th. Obviously, they already own Hasselblad, the medium format, but the full-frame game's totally different for them, and a mass-market full-frame camera from DJI could really change the market. Obviously, they own the drone market. They pretty much own the vlog and action camera market now, and I don't think they would be launching a full-frame camera without big ambition to really probably do what they've done with every other market they've gone into and take it over. So I'm expecting big things, and I hope they bring a modern kind of approach to full-frame cameras. I'd like a high-res display. I'd like a proper responsive touchscreen and a UI and OLED screens. And I'd like some kind of proper connection between the phone and the camera so we don't have to mess about with all this terrible apps that every other camera manufacturer has. And they've all got outdated, ancient UIs and sort of lagging hardware. So I'm really optimistic that it could be quite interesting. And also it's going to be on L-mount. So that's a big boon for L-mount people because it should mean some new lenses.
Yep.
Joe's back.
Yes, it's working. Woohoo!
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. What do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I am I have an L-mount camera, so yeah, any new lenses on the L-mount Alliance will be very much appreciated because they do need some more lenses, definitely. DJI, everything they touch is pretty decent. I've got some DJI mics that are really good. You guys have got the drones and stuff. They do great stuff, so yeah, it's quite exciting. I do fear it's going to be quite expensive.
Into the 360 camera game too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but the only fear I have is if they do a camera, what price it will be.
I don't know. I mean, none of them are going to be cheap, are they? So even a mid-range full frame is going to be about 2,500, isn't it? So
yeah, true.
I would imagine it would be around there. But it's supposed to be video first camera, so.
Joe, you were missing just now. We let past you. Do you want to just hop back and tell us what you've been doing for the last fortnight?
Yeah, it's amateur hour now, following Mr. Bundy and Mr. Clayton. Let me come on their pictures first. I really do urge everyone to go into the Google Photos and have a good look. Some fabulous photos. And like it's prime examples of like what you should do with photography, like leading lines with Mr. Clayton's items. And I love the framing on Ian's, Mr. Bundy's as well. There's some brilliant framing. I really like the window, the broken window, and you framed the building at the bottom there. It's excellent. So yeah, I'll get into amateur hour. I did actually get out with my camera for once, with my new 50mm lens, because I went to the V5 launch in London, so I took some shots before and after. One of them was a happy accident, because I've got hybrid zoom on my camera. So I was actually zooming into Big Ben, but then when I looked at the RAW file, I saw the black cabs in the foreground, and I thought that looks quite nice actually. So I did a little crop and kept them in there. So yeah, that was a happy accident, that one. I was quite pleased with the one with the bikes. I call that the race. You can just about see an old deer in the edge. She's got no chance.
That's really good. Yeah.
So I was quite pleased with that one. There was a few others I've taken that I was quite happy with, but yeah, this is amateur hour compared to you guys. I've got loads to learn, but absolutely loved getting out with my camera, and I need to do it more often. Really do.
Do you shoot portrait as is that a natural kind of draw for you to shoot portrait rather than landscape? I see both these images of portrait.
I don't know actually. Yeah, no, I do tend to shoot both. I think it's just when I'm shooting human subjects, I think I often do portrait, maybe subconsciously. Because there was another one, I don't know if I've added it on there, a lady eating an ice lolly, but it was actually bucketing it down with rain. So it just seemed like quite a funny thing, her eating an ice lolly in the rain. But yeah, that's also portrait. So yeah, maybe I do subconsciously do portrait.
No, we can't see the ice cream one.
No, that's not. I like the one with the taxis though, because you've got a little bit of movement in that front taxi there, and I think that helps a lot because it's not frozen.
Yeah, like I say, that was a happy accident.
Yeah,
a very happy one.
Soft in the way.
Yeah, thank God for RAW files.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joe. Let's leap back forward again and to the news section, which is largely Chris C. becoming the stuff that you dig out each week, which is absolutely fine. Consider this your section, so take it away.
I guess I'm just a sad gear nerd who just watches YouTube videos and
no, not at all.
Reads about it. But Sigma have been on a bit of a tear. They had the 200 f2 last time, and now we've got 3 new Sigma lenses. The 3 lenses we're going to talk about are on E mount and L mounts. So that's good news for Joe and me. Bad news for Ian. Probably the headline lens, although it doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure it will to many, is a Sigma 135mm 1.4, which I believe is the first time they've ever done a 135 1.4. This will set you back £1,650 and it weighs 1.3 kilograms. And it's a massive bill of glass up front of 105 millimeters. The glass itself is nearly 100 millimeters, so that's quite a large piece of glass you need to keep safe. As I've said in the notes here, not for me. it's too compromised. You're paying a lot just for that 1.4. The 1.8 135s, which are plenty, they're a lot cheaper, a lot lighter, and I don't really know if you could see much difference between the two focal ranges there, the two apertures, sorry, 1.4 to 1.8. But for portraits, you're probably going to get some very striking looks. But personally, I would stick with the 1.8 first-party Sony, or I'm sure Panasonic have their own version. But yeah, so not for me. Does anyone else?
How much smaller is it? How much less does it weigh?
I believe this Sony, even though that's quite an old lens now, is 900 grams. So that's 400 grams different. Yeah. I think it's due a new version, and they normally do cut the weight down on the new ones. But even with the old, compared to the old one, it's still a lot less and a lot less big. So yeah, no one going to bite on that.
No.
No.
I think because of what you mentioned, like the Viltrox one, for example, I really have heard good things about Viltrox.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one too.
So I'd be more appeal. That would appeal more to me. But then I haven't got loads of money.
No. Well, if you had, I don't think you'd want to spend it on this. So really, the depth of field is tiny on that, and it just seems like a bit of a faff. But anyway, that's one lens down. The next one is probably the most interesting one for me. It's a new what they call a super zoom travel lens. It's a 20 to 200 from Sigma. This has a variable aperture of 3.5 to 6.3. This is a lot cheaper at £800, 550 grams. I kind of like the idea of this. I think if you're just going to take out one lens, you're maybe with family, you don't want to be lugging around a load of spare lenses. This would obviously cover a massive range, similar to what a phone would do, 20mm to 200. Probably a bit pricey because it would be more of a backup lens. So if it comes second hand for around 500, I might be seriously interested. But yeah, I think this looks like a good lens. I did have the Tamron 28 to 200, which is sort of the go-to super zoom travel lens at the moment. It was a good lens, but I'm not a big fan of Tamron's coatings. They create weird artifacts for me. But everyone else sort of really rates that lens highly. But this one is obviously 8mm wider. The only downside is with that variable aperture, it does stop down very quickly. So by 35mm from the original 20mm, you're already at 4.5.
Yeah.
And at 50, you're at 5.6, and then you're gonna really struggle, I think, having a zoom with that kind of narrow aperture. This is
the problem that I was involved in photography, and I'm sure Chris Kay will be the same as me. When these 28 to, well, initially it was 70 to 210. Everyone has 72 to 210, and then suddenly I can't remember who it was. Probably Sigma brought out a 28 to 200. And everyone was all over it until they realised just what you said, Chris, about the stop down, which is just terrible. And so they were then suggesting that people have two kit lenses, 28-70 and 72-10, and you could just get a much better service from the two lens in terms of light gathering and all the rest of it. You remember, Chris Kay?
Yeah, that's what I had. The Sigma. You say, I think it was 28. 70, maybe a 24-70, I can't remember anyway. And a 72-10, they were both fixed aperture 2.8s. And yeah, they were light, but they were certainly manageable. But keeping that relatively fast, constant aperture on a zoom, I really liked.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's the long end where you want that wider aperture because it's going to be more noticeable when it's narrow.
Yeah, exactly.
You lose it so quickly. The Tamron 28 to 200 was pretty good. I think it was still at 2.8 at around 50mm.
Right.
And then it would start to slow down. But, the 3.5's already kind of lost as soon as you start zooming, and it's already not that quick to start.
Yeah.
So. But that 20mm is kind of a big deal. It's starting so wide. So I'm waiting for reviews to see how sharp it is and everything. But
it's quite a good lens for someone who's quite new and they're not quite sure what focal length they're gonna shoot at regularly.
Yeah.
So someone like me, it would be good to pick up something like this and then look at all my shots over, I don't know, half a year and be like, I tend to shoot at these focal lengths, and then look at primes in them areas maybe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the second lens. The last lens of the Sigma trio that was announced is a Mark II of their 35mm 1.2. This is their art line, which is their high-end professional line of primes. This is £1,200, 755 grams. It is fairly expensive, but the Sony 1.4 is around that price, so you do get a little bit of a faster lens for around the same money. But for me, I don't think it's worth the extra weight. It is a lot heavier than a 1.4 equivalence. And you can, on the used market, you can get sort of 35 1.4s for not that much. I did have the Sigma 35 1.4. I got that for about £450 used, and that was fantastic. I used that in Tokyo a lot, and it was a really great street lens. I don't think I would really appreciate the step up to 1.2. I'm not sure how noticeable that would ever be, really. So, the money, no object. Money, no object. I'd probably get it, but money is an object. I would probably go for the 1.4 for a little bit less, personally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's the 3 Sigma lenses that we had that came out yesterday.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Sigma's art range, being quite sharp.
Great. Yeah, I've had a few. They're really, really good.
Would you say 35mm is the ideal street photography focal length?
For me, it definitely is. Yeah, I love 35, but it is a bit boring. A lot of people say, but yeah, if I was when I was in Tokyo, yeah, it was fantastic, and I would definitely pick one up again if I was going to go back to Tokyo or Hong Kong for street photography. I'll definitely pick up another 35. So.
Okay, what else we got?
The other way.
Sorry, go on, Chris. Yep.
Street photography. I went the other way. I used to have a Nikon 65mm macro lens, but I used to like that as a street photography lens, just to get a little bit closer to get the character shots and more portrait stuff.
I used the 85 a fair bit for street, but I found that the images kind of ended up being a bit samey. You just kind of get people walking rather and more of a wider scene. But that's just my preference, I think, to have the environment into the scene as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And the last bit of news, Viltrox joining the L-mount Alliance. So Viltrox, I've heard nothing but good things about their lenses. They're pretty cheap compared to first party, and by all accounts, they're comparable in quality. So another big win for L-mount if the DJI rumour is true. So that's a big week for L-mount. So that's good for you as well, isn't it, Joe? Because you'll have access to a whole load of new lenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for the benefit of us old gits, who I'm remembering F-mounts in the Nikon day. So what's the E and the L? Who uses those?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should have said. So Sony's E mount, Nikon is Z mount, Fuji's X mount, and L mount was this idea of an open standard sort of lens mount. It's not really worked out as planned, but so far it's Panasonic use it, Sigma use it on their 2 cameras, Leica use it on their SL cameras, and hopefully DJI will use it on their new camera. So.
And Olympus on there.
Oh yeah. No one cares about them.
You don't care about them.
I'll put a link in the show notes to Wiki explaining all about the L-mount Alliance for those that are interested. Yeah, go on, Chris.
I think Joe was going to sort of say how pleased he was. I mean, he's the L-mount user.
I'm very pleased. I've heard really good things about Viltrox, the pricing, really sharp lenses. So yeah, very excited. My friend's got one on his APS-C Sony camera, and he loves it. So yeah, I'm very, very happy.
Okay, and some camcorder news. Do you want to cover that or not? Canon and Nikon have.
We can do. I think it might be more up Joe Street, being more of the videographer amongst us. But yeah, Canon and Nikon both released cinema cameras this week on the same day.
I've not looked at these at all.
No.
I posted the Nikon one just to get some Nikon in the news. So, but I saw that was with the combination of the Red's color science. So I think it's quite interesting. I think it was launched today, around £2,000, I think. So I think it's going for the same sort of market as the I'm trying to remember the Sony model, Chris. That is that sort of range for that. But it's good they're expanding the line and again using the Red branding. I think so.
By all accounts, it's not. Doesn't match the specs of the FX3. The FX3 is, I think, 4 years old now, and Nikon and Canon are still releasing competitors that can't do what that Sony does. So,
but the Nikon's meant to be very similar to the Z6 Mark II, isn't it? Or
Z6 III.
Three, that's it.
Yeah, I presume it's got the same stat sensor.
Yeah.
But the genius of the Sony FX3 is that it's only a 12 megapixel sensor, which is 4K. I mean, that's all you need for a video.
And in low light,
camera.
it's meant to be fantastic.
Yeah, because you can put that ISO up through the sky, and you're not going to suffer the consequences that you would on a 60 megapixel. In terms of what you would see, pixel for pixel. But they're all going for these high resolutions. The Canon's 33 megapixels, and I guess the Nikon, if it's using a Z6 III sensor, will be 24 megapixels.
I think it's 24, isn't it? Which might be the sweet spot, maybe, though, potentially.
Well, if you're doing 8K, but I don't know. I think there's a reason everyone still uses that Sony.
Yeah.
Then I've
gone Panasonic.
Yeah, one of the nice things about these two cameras, though, the Canon and the Nikon, with a slinky link in mind, is that they're almost pocketable. If you didn't put a lens on the front of it, then it would be almost front jeans pocketable. And that leads us into our theme of the week, really, which is the camera in your pocket, and something that Chris Kelly and I wanted to talk about a bit more closely. I was thinking about adapting your shooting expectations based on what you'll carry, and I'm starting to move. Frank Neidhart put a post in the group a week or so ago talking about the Fujifilm X30 and how much more or less likely I would be to carry it because of its size and its footprint. So you put it in your front jeans pocket and you've got it with you like you would have a phone. Spit. Thus concluding that I've been talking about, trying to get back into photography, and I'm thinking about big cameras and big lenses and stuff you've got to carry around with me, which we will come to later. But, I keep getting drawn back to the dinkiest dink of them all, which is this Ricoh GR, or 2 or 3 or whatever, or 4 now. And, I previously had this checklist of stuff that I wanted to have with my camera, but it would all go out the window. But the point is, though, that I think that everything in life is a compromise, and when you're willing to carry a bag full of stuff like in the old days, I used to go out, as I've said before, and just with the purpose of shooting photographs like you two guys do, and now Joe to some degree as well, but if it's in my pocket, I think I'm just much more likely to use it. Now the Ricoh GR series devices are really expensive for what they are. I used to have one, and it was, when I bought it 10 years ago probably, it was about 600 quid then, and even second-hand ones are more than that, even the older ones. And so there is the price factor in. But the point I'm trying to get to, I think, is that I really appreciate what you guys do with all your loads of gear, and I used to do the same. Well, not as well, but I used to try and do the same back in the day, and I'd had a bag full of gear, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it. But now I can't see myself doing that. I can't see myself going out, so I think the best compromise for me is to have something that will be in my pocket, and it just seems amazing to me that to get anything to comply with that, with a decent size sensor, there's nothing except this Ricoh GR, which costs £1,000. And you would just think that there would be more options. There are more options if you don't mind having a tiny weeny sensor. We spoke about, I spoke in the group today about the release of the Canon Nixus 285 HSA or whatever it's called. And it looks great. That would go in my pocket, great. But tiny little camera sensor, which is, worse than most mobile phones these days. So that's out. Ricoh is a bigger sensor, of course. It's still not full frame, but, my perfect camera, I think, Chris Kelly, will be a Ricoh GR-sized device with a full frame sensor in it, and I'd be away. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, when you posted that up, it really struck a chord with me. So when this podcast was being mooted, I got quite giddy at the thought that it was going to be the motivation that I needed to get out there and start shooting again. But then, a few hours went by and reality kicked in. And I thought, well, I've got my Panasonic GX7, which isn't a big camera, and you can get little pancake lenses on it that I could go out and actually go and shoot some stuff. And I just never, ever take it out. I've taken it on a couple of family trips, and even then, it's a pain in the backside just getting the damn thing out of the bag, and I just never ever used it. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day, I used to have a little 35mm film camera, and I've been trawling the internet trying to find which model it was, and it might be my memory of the device playing tricks on me, but I seem to recall it was a thing. It was about the size of, back in the days when people smoked, it was about the size of a 20-pack of cigarettes. And it had a little lever on the bottom, and you swung this lever from one side to the other, and the lens popped out on it. And it was just a really simple plain viewfinder. There was no light meter on it, so I had to carry a little pocket light meter to do the readings. It was zone focusing, fully manual. I loved it. I used to take it everywhere, like you say, because it just went in my pocket. So it was always with me in my pocket. And if I saw something that grabbed my attention, I'd take 10, maybe 20 minutes getting 2 or 3 shots. It was interesting, Chris, listening at you, the number of shots that you said that you reeled off. And it's one of the things that I think might have been part of the reason that I've lost the interest. Back then, it was all about taking your time and capturing the image, because, you had your roll of 24, 36 images, and that was your lot. So if you went out for a day shooting, you got 36 images, and that was all you did. So you took your time over every single shot. So the images now, you reel off 400 or 500, and 99.9% of them are disposed of. And I think partly that's what's lost me the interest. But I do recognise that there's a different interest in capturing the images, and certainly what you, Chris, and certainly to a degree, Ian, you don't go perhaps as extreme as some of Chris's stuff, but it's the manipulation post-capture that is as much a part as it is the capture of itself. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to it. I think it was the switch to digital that kind of partly killed it for me.
We need film cameras then.
Yeah, but
it's quite interesting. Yeah. When you say about taking your time, as say, one thing I found on Monday was that I had a lot of time just to sit there and think about something, think about the shot, whereas normally if I'm doing motorsport or something, everything is so fast and 20 frames a second and that, but having that time, and I found the time I had having the Leica, it's just getting out there and the pleasure of actually shooting, not really worrying what the output was, but just enjoying that part of it of framing something, taking your time to shoot it was most of the fun for me, I think. And it's just now it's so disposable that I can take thousands of images and just to get a couple. But as you say, you step back to those film days that you only had those 35 and you made them count, really.
Yeah, even, I never had the access that you get, but, being a fan, being a petrol head, then I used to go to race circuits and shooting stuff with me Nikon, with me 7210 Sigma, and it was, I still only got those 36 shots, so, you were very careful in when and where you used each one. Having said that, it was only this evening I recalled, actually, I had a little Canon PowerShot G5. It was quite chunky and fairly heavy for what it was, but it go in your pocket just about. It had a tiny little articulating screen on the back and an okayish viewfinder, but I made a fair bit of use of that, particularly on bike trips. I've posted a little image in the notes, which actually I didn't take because I'm in the picture, but it was taken. It's the only thing that I've got that I know was taken on that particular camera. One of the nice things about it was it had a 35-140 zoom range on it, so fairly usable. You could do versatile, I guess was what it was. So it had a decent range. I think it was about a 1/1.7, something like that. I have put a link to a DP review article in the notes as well, where there's a guy who comments about it's the camera he's nearly bought multiple times because he enjoyed it so much. And thinking back, I enjoyed that as well. It was probably the last digital camera that I made a fair bit of use of, probably because it was always in my pocket, and as Ted just says, it's the one that you've got with you.
It's not that small though, is it? Compared to the you mentioned, you didn't mention, you put in the notes earlier on the Olympus XA and XA2 and A11 flash and all that. That little camera, I had one of those, the XA2 I had, and that was really, really front jeans pocketable. That was a real packet of fags size. It was gorgeous, and I would take that everywhere with me. But again, as you say, you're back to film.
Yeah.
So what's the answer? Well, the answer could be the Ricoh GR and the 3 or the 4 or whatever. Charles Winson, who you mentioned earlier, Chris, he took a photograph of Worthing Seafront with his, which I can't put in the album, so don't look for anyone because I haven't got his permission to do so. But we can see that in the show notes here, and it's a lovely photograph he's taken of Worthing Seafront with the Ricoh GR3 X HDF 40mm lens, which is the standard lens on it. It's a really nice high contrast kind of black and white photograph. It was taken on a sunny day, he says. The high contrast black and white preset was customized in camera, no editing. He goes on to say though that the Ricoh GR cameras are quite restrictive, which is to some degree possibly back to what you were saying, Chris K, part of the appeal. It struggles in low light in rain and at night. It's best used in bright light as a point and shoot in well-lit areas. Its manual mode is broken and unusable. The aperture priority mode makes it a suitable tool, however, for candid street photography in optimal conditions. And that's exactly what I think that they're designed for and what people buy them for. So I think what he's saying is that don't expect this Ricoh, even at £1,000, to be the be-all and end-all. It's a very specific tool for a very specific job. Chris C., on the last show, you were talking about the fourth generation of these, and I think possibly saying kind of some similar things, really. Or do I remember badly?
No, I totally agree. And obviously, I know Charlie. We were in Tokyo last year together, and he had the Ricoh there, and he's got a love-hate relationship with that camera because he is frustrated by the lack of controls. You're kind of forced into one of the automatic modes. Shooting manual is kind of out of the question with the lack of options they give you, but all his best pictures were taken with that Ricoh because I think it just suits. It's so well suited to street photography. It's just a natural fit for that kind of thing. So even though he was kind of annoyed of it, all the best pictures that he got on that trip were with the Ricoh and not his Sony full frame. So yeah, I think that kind of speaks volumes for how good a street camera it is. And yeah, it's not great in low light, but you still get usable images. And with denoising and stuff these days, you can do quite a lot in the post. So if you get a good deal on one, Ted, you should definitely but now we've spoken about it on the show. I'm thinking about film again, to be honest. I'm thinking, you think Ricoh's expensive?
Well, the Ricoh's out of my reach, but you can buy a second-hand XA2 that I was talking about just now, or a PowerShot or something for next to nothing. And the cost is going to be in the processing, obviously, but taking less I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud, really, and I'm thinking about what the best way in here is. And at least with film cameras, you get full frame. It's not a digital sensor, but you get full frame. And we know that you can tuck those away in your pocket, and you'll get the full. Anyway, it's an argument that could go on, no doubt. Incidentally, I like your picture, Chris K, of your motorbike. It's really nice.
My rapid banana, it's bright yellow, yes.
Anyone got any other thoughts about...
Well, I was just going to say, Ted, have you ever thought about one of the 1-inch sensor phones, like the 15 Ultra or the myriad Chinese phones that give you the 1-inch sensor?
Phone?
Well,
is he talking about phones?
Well, there's not much difference between a Ricoh and a phone, really.
Just to recover this, the grandchild of that Canon G5, there's a Mark II version, Mark III maybe, which I think is available on Amazon. You're still approaching that grand. Yeah. But I could carry that. It's not XA size; it's a bit chunkier than that. I could comfortably carry that in a trouser pocket and tuck it around. It's not quite as good. I think the zoom range tops out at 100 or 120, so it's not quite as good if you wanted the Tele-N, but
they're heavy though, Chris. That's the problem. The Olympus XA2 and the Ricoh are light. They're really easy to carry, and even the smallest of those PowerShot G series cameras are just heavy, and they would not go into my front jeans pocket. And so net result, going back to the theme here, I wouldn't have it with me.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky one. The compromise on the sensor size or the film size is probably the Ricoh. And as Chris C just said, maybe I've got to just bite the bullet and accept that's what it is. And it's going to cost me some money. At least I wouldn't have to carry around a bag full of gear, which brings us to our second theme. These slinky links going on here.
Nice segue.
Very good.
Which is to the whole topic of carrying stuff around. Now, Chris Clayton, you were instrumental in the kick-off of this in the MeWe group. So there's a load of pictures of various bags in the shared album, if anyone wants to have a quick look at them, which will be referenced now. But Chris, do you want to take us away on this one?
Yeah, well, I think it's Rohan that initially asked the question, what bags do we use? And I love nothing more than talking about camera bags because I'm a sad individual. I've gone through probably about 6 camera backpacks over the last sort of 3 years, but I've finally settled on, I don't know how you actually pronounce it, but I call it the Wandered Provoke. The brand is, they remove all the vowels to sound hip and trendy, but it's probably pronounced Wandered.
I believe you're correct there.
Yeah, we'll go with that. They do 3 sizes. They do, I think, a 20 litre. The one I've got 31 litre, and they do a larger 45 litre, I believe. But this one, the photo is in the group. You can put a lot in here. It comes with a camera cube. It's kind of infinitely configurable. The dividers are removable. The cube itself is removable if you wanted to. You've got side access to the side, so you can get the camera straight out the side, which I use a lot. And above the cube, you've got a further storage area, which got a rollable top, so you can get an extra sort of 20 litres or so of more storage. And in the pictures, you can see I've got like 4 lenses stacked away in there. I've got my drone, I've got my filters, got my tripod on the side. So yeah, I mean, this is basically what I took to London minus the drone. So,
wow.
Yeah, which kind of goes against what you were saying earlier, but
so where
I don't
did you
mind
fit your
doing
lunch?
My lunch was where the drone is in that picture.
Ah.
I had a lunchbox, so no drone, but I had my sandwiches.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a really fantastic bag. It's gone through a lot. I've had it about 2 years now, I think. So I went through a lot of bags in a very short space of time before I settled on this one. It's gone through a lot of countries with me, and it's no marks on it, no tears. It's survived a lot. I'm really, really happy with it. You do have to pay through the nose for these camera bags, like anything with the word camera attached to it. This bag with the camera cube, which is an additional purchase, was £270. Not sure what they cost now, but there is a version 4 out now, which is probably even more. So, but yeah, that's my bag. It's served me well.
Mm-hmm.
When you think you're protecting gear that's worth a lot more than that, it's worth the money, isn't it?
That's the way I had to look at it. Yeah, and it's really well padded. You can see one of the other photos there. The back's, it's about an inch of padding there, and it unfolds from the back, so you can put it down on the floor, and then you're not getting stuff on your back. So that's a nice little feature.
It is obviously a camera bag, though, and it's obviously got loads of expensive gear in it. I suppose that's one thing against it in terms of security.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the chance you take. I mean, the cameras are out anyway most of the time when I'm walking around London. It's in my hand or on a shoulder strap. So
somebody posted in the group a picture of a messenger bag, which is it is in the shared album. I can't remember who it was, sorry, but someone posted this messenger bag which doesn't smell of camera. That's the thing. It's it's
unless you know the Manfrotto symbol.
Oh, okay.
Use it away.
You don't need to have the one made by them, though. The whole thing is that you could use something that doesn't look like a camera bag, but you wouldn't get, Chris C, all the benefits that you just spoke about. You just have a bag, basically. I've got a messenger bag, but it wouldn't do what yours is doing. Absolutely no way.
I do have a sling, which you can see in the back of one of the photos of my bag, a white. That's the same make. That's Wandered. That's a 9-litre sling. But I find it, if you put all the weight onto one shoulder for a whole day, it does start to cause you a bit of pain. So I normally just go with a backpack, to be honest.
Ian, what do you use?
I was just trying to update the notes. So I've had a Shimoda rucksack for ages that I've taken everywhere from, let's say, Japan, Antarctica. Really good. Has a roll top. You can fit loads on it. It gets very, very heavy, but I've got a low pro roller for motorsport. So one of the key things is when you're traveling with lots of lenses, I don't want to put it in the hold. So having something that I can take on a plane that takes all of my lenses and bodies is quite critical, and it also looks it looks like a rucksack. I was in Australia this year and was flying from Sydney to Melbourne, and they were weighing all the bags, and I'm sure, Chris, you know how heavy the camera bags are.
I was just about to ask you, have you weighed your carry-on bag with it stacked?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of guys in front of me, and they were weighing the bay. But the lucky thing about this Low Pro one was it has got a rucksack thing, so I can put it on my back. So it looks like a rucksack, has wheels on it, and it nearly killed me having it on my back, but I managed to get it on. But that's one of the challenges that of trying to get your gear if you're actually traveling.
You don't want to put anything on the underneath because it's going to get smashed up.
Yeah. So I normally say, well, I've got batteries and stuff and what have you, and you haven't got the right insurance to cover this if something goes missing, and so that normally gets me, fingers crossed. So far it's been okay, but it was trying to get something that didn't do my back in like the Shimoda one does if I'm trying to lug all my stuff around. And the Low Pro one, I can actually get my 180 to 600 mil lens in there as well, so which is pretty cool.
I was going to say, I always worry when you're going through the check-in if they're going to weigh your carry-on, because they only give you like 7 kilograms, but my bag when I go on holiday it's like 14 kilograms with everything in it. But luckily they've not weighed it yet, because it doesn't look that heavy because it's kind of slim profile. But
very good. Jumping back to the messenger bag, I just realised that it was Andy Morris that put that one in the group. It is a Manfrotto messenger bag, and he says that he also uses a bigger backpack, which he uses for his DSLR, but now he uses it for the film SLRs, so he's still using film. Hurrah! Rohan Moligoda, who we spoke about just now, there's a photograph in the group with 3 bags in the back of his car, and he says, I've got 3 bags that I swap between depending on what I'm doing. The middle one is for general storage of the gear. It stays in this for 90% of the time in my car or house. Then on the left is my Peak Design Everyday Zip backpack. It has a specific side access from either side, and it's great for a city or a trip. Then on the right, we have the recent new purchase, which is an Osprey Day hike pack. For walking with gear. This keeps all my gear off my back so I don't get hot and sweaty, and it's super comfortable for long hikes. I guess by off his back he means that it sits away from his back because it's got a bit of a cage inside it. But yeah, thank you for that, Rohan, and hopefully hearing what other people have done here will give you some ideas as well, and other people as well. Anything from Joe or Chris C on this one? Sorry, Chris K.
I was just going to say,
Chris K.
Okay, yeah, go on, Chris. Sorry, jumping in.
So I've, because I've been a lazy git, I've not managed to post mine, but I've got quite a lot of Low Pro bags. So I was going to say, I come from an era when men were men and camera bags were bloody uncomfortable because they're all a single strap over a single shoulder. Backpacks didn't exist when I was doing it, so I've got a fairly hefty old Low Pro, even when it's empty. And then you load it up with a couple of bodies and half a dozen lenses and a flash and a light meter and everything else that you carry. It used to be a nightmare. It's probably why I gave up photography. It crucified me. So I've got quite a collection of those. When I shift off the Nikon and went to the Micro Four Thirds, and I got the little Panasonic. I've got a few other Peak Design travel bags, not specifically the photography ones. So I like their gear anyway. So I got one of their little slings, about either a 3 or 5 litre sling that I can put the little Penny GX7 in, and 3 lenses and a few other bits and pieces, which isn't too much of a hindrance. But I used to find what I'd do is if I was going to force myself to use it, I would leave the bag at home, and I'd just put it in coat pockets. So, body in one with a smallish lens on and a couple of other lenses in a couple of other pockets, and that would be it. It's interesting what you're saying about going through airports. I used to have one of the vest things with lots of pockets in.
Gilet,
yes. And I'll put my gear in that, and that actually really spreads the weight nicely because it's so broad on your shoulders. You're not feeling the weight even in the way that you do in a backpack, but it had enough storage space that I could put everything in it. I even used to carry a 15-inch laptop in a pocket on the back of it. And of course, that doesn't get weighed because it's clothing. You're wearing it. And you lay that out on the conveyor belt at security, and you didn't have to take anything out of the pockets because nothing was on top of anything else. Once you laid it out flat on the conveyor belt, you could X-ray everything, and never had any problems with that. So there you go. There's a tip for you.
They were all the rage, weren't they? It reminds me of the guy in Apocalypse Now, who was the photographer with his vest on with 101 pockets, and I have one of those too. I'm with you, Chris, on that one. I used to end up usually buying Jessop's own brand stuff. I did have a look at Jessop's before recording, and it doesn't look as though they do it anymore, but I nearly always ended up with Jessop's own stuff. And at one time, I remember buying, I fancied being this budding pro, and I got this aluminium case with all these cutouts in it, and I never used it once. It was really nice to get it organised and cut the foam out and put everything in there and then look at it. But not once did I ever have the reason to use it.
Proper flight case, that one.
Yeah. Joe, carrying stuff?
Yeah, so, well, I've only got 2 lenses, so at the moment I live dangerously with a normal backpack, but that needs to change. So this has been quite interesting and informative for me. But it also does make me think, like, I do want something smaller and pocketable as well, going back to our previous subject.
Yeah. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because what we need is both. So a £5,000 worth of medium format Mamiya or something, or Hasselblad, and a Ricoh GR3 or 4 or something.
Well, like golf, we need a caddy who carries our gear.
Yeah, it's a lens butler. That's what you need.
Gentlemen, we've done well over the hour now, so we'll call a halt to it. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for joining me today. As I said at the outset, there is this Camera Creations shared album, link in the show notes to that, and hopefully in your podcatcher, where you can go and click on and have a look at stuff as you're listening along and see what we're talking about. tedsalmon.com/Camera Creations is our main show URL, where you'll find all that stuff going on. The MeWe group is where you can join in the conversations, and the MeWe group is called Camera Creations, so do come and join us there. Links in the show notes, links everywhere, and everything, including all the other audio podcasts that we're involved in, are at tedsalmon.com. So if you get lost, head across that way as well. But yes, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for listening, and have a good week, or a good fortnight, I should say. Thanks a lot, gents, and goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.